Hey guys, thank you guys all so much for stopping by. As always, if you don't already know, my name is Eli with Pokémon USA. Tuesdays and Thursdays are our Q&A session days, so we have discussions related to anything and all things Pokémon USA. As always, the video is titled the same as the previous one posted, so of course I don't have the opportunity to go through and answer everyone's comments, questions, concerns, and so this is the opportunity for you guys to do that. It doesn't have to be a question, of course, related to the title of the video. It could be about anything you want, but obviously, since it's the most recent, that's usually the one that people like to have conversations about. But without further ado, as always, if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content for you to do so, and since you can comment and like on each video, that allows for multiple entries. And then we've got 3 winners each and every week, so multiple opportunities to win. But let us give an introduction to everyone. Scratch'em, Transparent Pokemon, Emilio, TT, Stephen Ling, Lord Narwhal, Poké Department Store, Pokemon Trainer Mason, Poke Knight, Card Palace, and I'm not missing anyone else. So thank you guys all so much for being here. Hopefully we have a good stream today. But yeah, I mean, jumping into obviously the most recent video, if you guys don't already know, Pokemon Company has officially revealed what V-Star Universe is going to be in Japan and then eventually in English. And yeah, I am just, what's the word I'm looking for? Astonished at how amazing the set is going to look. I personally, I mean, you guys have obviously, if you've seen my most recent video, you know my thoughts on it. I think that, this could be one of the best sets Pokemon has ever made, whether it be in the Sword and Shield era, whether it be of all time. But I mean, it's amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, Hidden Fates was a great set because it, was the first ever like massive shiny set. But if you look at the artwork on what it really was pushing, it was not really crazy. It was just, hey, let's take all the same artwork from Sun and Moon and then let's, just make them shiny. I think this, of course, is one where they took a very similar approach, where they took a bunch of the Pokemon from throughout the Sword and Shield era that were in sets, and then they said, hey, let's just make their artworks look amazing. So just taking it that next level in terms of overall amazing hype for the set. So I am super duper excited about it. But let's go through and read some of the questions if there are any so far. Who are you telling I'm poor Pokemon? Oh, I think he's talking to someone else. Poké Department said he'll be gone in the first half. Bummer. Hate to see it. Poké Knight says, hi, what's up, Poké Knight? Obviously I was talking to Transparent about the title of the video, but I mean, it's dry out here, man. What are you gonna do? Not to mention too, I had a conversation on Tuesday's video and people were like, hey, rather than saying in the title what it is in terms of like, yeah, we're just gonna be talking about Pokemon V-Star Universe, they're like, spice it up a little bit. And I said, okay, I'll spice it up a little bit, which you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. Videos are, it's kind of boring most days, if we're being honest, for Pokemon related content, but I mean, it's the part of running a business and trying to stay relevant as a Poketuber. It's crazy how your predictions are always true. I would not say always true. I would definitely not say always. I am pretty accurate when it comes to a lot of my, quote unquote predictions. I mean, most of the time it's just the Pokemon Company having history repeat itself. But I mean, like I said before, with the Dragonite V-Star, I said that it was potential there could be an alternate art. That was the one I missed on, but I pretty much nailed it for most of the V-Stars that I did predict that I felt like could be in the set, like, Pokemon Go obviously having a Mewtwo. I said there was going to be a V-Star alt art for that. I said Darkrai was going to have a V-Star alt art. I said Suicune potentially could have a V alt art, and yeah, I mean, I pretty much nailed it on those ones. So yeah, but I'm not 100%. Same thing goes with everything, I said V-Star Universe when it was talked about, there's a lot of dummy images of shiny Pokemon, and so I said it was at first more than likely going to be shiny, but then we saw some of the leaks for it. I was like, oh, it's going to be alternate arts. But of course I did make the prediction it was going to go follow the format of, what was going to happen with Hidden Fates to then, V-Star universe, how it followed the same pattern, and yeah, I was right about that at least. So, you know, I have a level of consistency and accuracy, but there's always a small factor I feel like I'm missing, or just a little bit. So I'm never 100%. I don't think anyone can be, and I feel like it's also important to recognize that so that everyone literally doesn't think that I'm Mr. God making predictions guy, because I'm not. Looking good, bro. I appreciate it. I don't know about that. I feel like I look a little homeless. No Shave November got a little bit out of control. I need to shave here soon. But Transparent says, God, I hope I win this giveaway. Hey, I hope everyone wins the giveaway. So, John During, I'm here. Let's go, John. Good to see you here. It's going to be like Shining Fates more than Evolving Skies. Well, I mean, it's going to be like... Well, here's the deal. It's hard to compare it in that regard because it's not going to have booster boxes, right? And so in terms of like, all right, what's the set we're going to compare it to, right? I think it's fair to say that it's a better comparison to VMAX Climax, the Japanese set, but on crack. I think that's a better comparison, personally. Because obviously it's going to have a ton of amazing alt arts, it's going to have a ton of amazing character rares, it's going to have a ton of amazing full art alt arts. There's not going to be any rainbows involved, so it's really hard to give it a comparison to any of the English sets because there's truly nothing like it that we have, you know. Maybe you can call it a hybrid of Hidden Fates minus the shinies to, you know, Evolving Skies with all the alt arts, but then where's the set that has the character rares, right? Would you say Brilliant Star? Like there's just so many aspects to it that you can, you know, kind of fuse the best of. What was I gonna say? Hey Eli, just looked at the wholesale page, just realized they have card supplies, looking to do an order soon. Well, right on then, brother. Yeah, as always, I made a notification about it in the Patreon page today. Please join the Discord link to be able to access the wholesale sheet. Of course, you already know this, Raph, but for anyone that's watching that is on the wholesale list, understand that the predominant you know, notifications for where all the product is, I'm going to post that in the Discord. It's just way easier for me because I'm already always on Discord. So for communications on how you guys can put in orders with me through Discord and I can monitor that, it's just way easier that way. Of course, if you do message me on Patreon, that is something that I will respond to. It just won't be as immediate. What do you think the odds are for the last six sets of Sword and Shield to be reprinted before the new era? Ooh, that is a great question there, Transparent. Well, you say the last 6 sets. I mean, that's a lot of sets, right? Because if we're saying the last 6 sets, now let's say when you're asking the question, right? Let's say that you're more or less saying booster box sets, right? That would be, of course, Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, Astral Radiance, Brilliant Star, Fusion Strike, Evolving Skies, right? Hypothetically. Sure, if you want to throw in, you know, Pokemon Go in there, I guess that would be it as far as, and then get rid of Evolving and then throw in, you know, Celebrations, or maybe not throw in Celebrations, whatever. I think, if I'm being honest, I think what has the highest possibility of getting a reprint, could be off base, but I think that you could see a couple of things happen. One, Pokemon Company says they're gonna go out of rotation for you know, because rotation standard changed sometime early this next year. I think it's entirely possible that you could have it one of two ways. Either one, you can see a good amount of sets, Darkness Ablaze, Vivid Voltage, you know, whether it be Shining Fates, Rebel Clash, and base set, who knows? Doubt it. But hypothetically speaking, they could do it that way, where you do see a bunch of these sets that are about to go out of rotation, indeed go out of rotation, but get a reprint first. Now, that's possible. Don't think it's probable. What I think is more probable is the next sets to follow that, which will be the new rotation out of cycle. Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Brilliant Stars, and then, of course, you know, potentially Astral, or maybe you want to say Pokemon Go. Those will be the next sets that I think will get reprints. I think that's way more likely because those will be the next oldest sets. And not to mention two of those being Evolving Skies and Brilliance being high demands. Now, in your, of course, you know, question about it in most recent, those would still be a part of it. But I just personally believe that Chilling Reign, Fusion, and Battle Styles has a chance of getting a reprint more than Astral Radiance, Lost Origin, and Silver Tempest. And the reason for that is because they're just older sets, and people might say to themselves, well, why would they ever do that? Prices are so cheap. Well, first and foremost, prices are so cheap for Silver Tempest, Astral, and Lost Origins in the grand scheme of things as well. And not to mention the fact of the matter, too, is those sets aren't going to go over rotation for a while, so they much rather, reprint the ones that are going to go out of rotation sooner than later. And of course, on the last big reprints that we got, booster box prices for Battle Styles were slightly below $100, and they still reprinted it. It doesn't stop the Pokemon Company from just getting mass reprints in there so that they can make the competitive card games cheap as possible, because that's their first priority. Next up, hi, Mari, nice to see you. Hi, I'm new here to the hobby. Just curious, just curious to know what you do with all the energy cards and code cards once you open all the packs you get. Great question. That is a tough one, Mari, because it has transitioned. When I first was, obviously, because I do breakers, when I first had the code cards and the energies, what I did with the energies was I took them and I would sell them with Safari Zone, because prices for bulk at the time were crazy. And then when they weren't crazy and prices started to drop, then I ended up selling them off as a part of a back sale agreement for a lot of my inventory that I had before I moved. Now, of course, that's what I did, but that's not, that's very circumstantial for myself. It's not going to relate to anyone else. So it's really hard to say. I mean, if you want to, you can go and list them on TCG Player. That's tough because the amount of time is not going to be worth it for you to do that. Maybe it's worth it with the code cards, but even then, man, even then, my code cards, I literally straight up had them, just chilling on my desk. I had about 10,000 code cards just chilling on my desk for the longest time. So, you've got really a couple options here. You can either try and do mass bulk lot selling your code cards on eBay or on TCG Player, or try and sell it locally. Same concept with energy cards, but it's definitely a tough one. Those, I would say, are definitely the hardest to sell unless you're trying to grind it out and make a ton of money off of it, potentially with, code cards. Energies are kind of like, energies aren't exciting to say the least. So, but I wish I could help you more in that, but those are definitely, there's a reason why their energies are so much cheaper when it comes to bulk lists, and it's not too often you see code cards, which, some sites do accept them, and there are decent rates for code cards. I would go check it out online and see. Obviously, at our website, if we had bulk submission list open, I would say that you could send them to us, but we're closed because we got way too much bulk. Bulk has been crashing a lot. I don't know if you guys have been watching the prices on bulk, but when we do open the list, we're going to have to make readjustments because the price average for bulk now is 3/4 of a penny. And it's a penny if you want to do, trade-in for most websites for in-store credit. But obviously that's not our site. Who knows how much we're going to do it, whether we're going to follow that or do a penny ourselves to be competitive. But honestly, when we were trying to be competitive in the first place, we're shooting for trying to get 30,000 cards a week, and we got 300,000 cards in 2 weeks. So there's... Things are competitive for bulk submissions. We'll just say that. Just received my first PSA submission. It went very well with PSA 10s of multiple rainbows and shiny Charizards, Evolving Skies, and Evolution PSA 10s rainbow chunk of PSA of that thing. Selling these to purchase sealed product of cards, Sword and Shield booster boxes. Which do you think is better long-term investment? Should I hold these and Shield Chase and PSA 10 to sell them to buy booster box in cases? I mean, you already know my opinion on this card palace, or most people should at this point. I'm a huge fan of Sealed. Sealed is deflationary. I think that you have a lot better of a long-term perspective with that. Sure, you could speculatively invest in, of course, cards, especially if you're talking about a lot of your ultra modern that you have, but I'm a huge fan of supply and demand economics, or supply side economic theory, which of course always is fewer goods chased by more dollars. That's just kind of how it is. And if you have an item that's more than likely going to be a higher supply, and not a lower supply, then it's really tough for me to want to rationalize that being the optimal form of investment. It's not saying it's not going to be a good one, because there will be high demand with that, but of course, if you can get a high demand, low supply, then I think that's a lot safer of a long-term investment and could yield you an even higher return. So I would say personally, sealed product is the way to go. Not to mention too, I guarantee you have two options here. I mean, if you can get everything sold for maximizing profit, and let's say that a lot of the holiday deals are not around, right? Then just wait for reprints and then just hop in those reprints, or take advantage of course, a lot of the available product that's going on right now. In terms of prices for ultra premium collections for Charizard, because those will do extremely well long term. And I'm not trying to show myself, I want you to know this, but if you can't happen to find a lot of product at really good prices, because prices come back to reality after it being Black Friday, we do have a wholesale list, and you can purchase a lot of wholesale product that would be a good long-term investment, such as Silver Tempest booster boxes. But like I said, I'm not saying that's good or bad for you, but I am saying that obviously sealed is the way to go with it. And if you can get access to product closer to wholesale for booster boxes or elite trainer boxes, depending upon your storage situation, I think that's going to be a greater direction, especially if there's a reprint too, man. Yeah, if there's a reprint, you go not financial advice, but like I said, if there's a reprint for, let's say, Brilliant Star Evolving Skies, prices absolutely tank, man, you're going to be in an incredible position. So that's just kind of my opinion on it, but sorry about rambling on that. I'm Arky, as TJ says. I would definitely not say that. I will not say that at all. Hey, Eli, what's up, Poke Collector J? Oh my goodness gracious, Poke Collector J, goodness gracious. It is so funny you just messaged me. You messaged me yesterday, and I never responded to you. I am so sorry about that. I got so swamped with work. I will message you after this stream, or if you want to message me after this stream and remind me, I profusely apologize for not getting back to you. I had so much going on yesterday. It was stressful to say the least, but I want to talk with you about some things. Jimmy Moreau says, when does Sword and Shield 12 come out? So it's actually 12.5, because 12 already came out. That was Silver Tempest, but 12.5 comes out. Looks like a lot of the product will come out, in sporadically early Q1 of this next year. Obviously, if you're talking about the Japanese set does come out tomorrow for V-Star Universe. V-Star Universe looks amazing, by the way. I think Crown Zenith will break the bank, but it will definitely land in a top tier. Yeah, man, I'm high as all could get out. I sold 250 Lost Origin cards for $40. What? Really? Hold on, let's do some math here. Who wants to do some math with me? 40 divided by 250. Where did you sell it for 16 cents a pop, my guy? Shout out to you on that. That's an amazing deal. Found Darkness Ablaze packs today for $1 a pack. I LOL bought them all just because it was like 44 packs. Were they the Dollar Tree packs, or were they actual full-on packs? Because I don't know how you could have done that. I wonder how the cut quality from the East versus West is. My card shop is from the East, and they're always cutting the fuzzy edges, and the West seeks to be okay, but don't open up packs. I mean, personally speaking, the West, it's been all over the place, man. Yeah, it's always something different for each set, so it's hard to say. I've been hearing that it's better to open the Charizard UPC instead of keeping it sealed, especially since the price crash is low. What do you think? Well, it depends on if you're trying to sell it or not. If you're saying, Antonio, that you're trying to get out and you're trying to maximize your profits, then yeah, at that point it is better to break it down, because it does have, it does have the promo cards, but also, to be fair, promo cards keep crashing, so it's really hard to say that it's even a good idea to begin with. Personally, I think, dollar cost average long-term investment is the way to go. So that really is like only a last resort if you're trying to, of course, get some liquidity. Not to mention, too, the price it's going to cost you alone just to ship it out compared to breaking everything down and shipping out everything is going to save you a lot more in the long run, even if you say you're eating fees for each sale. But I don't recommend doing that to begin with. UPC was worth opening day one to sell promos or to get graded and sell SAP with current prices. It may not be. I don't know. Well, see, that's the thing. R6, like I said before, I don't know where the promos are now. I know they just keep dropping. But still, you got to say to yourself, all right, let's say hypothetically, right, you bought in at $100 and now, prices are at $80.90 and you're wanting to panic sell, which I think is a bad idea to begin with. You're going to have to spend at least, $12 to $20 shipping depending upon region. So it's like that right there is going to crush you. No worries, brother. All right, cool. Yeah, definitely message me. I think the Dollar General tins with Brilliant Star and Evolving Skies and coins for $9 is a steal. I have no idea, because one of the things that's kind of pushed me away, and I have no clue if these are the same, but a lot of the dollar packs that you see online have already been weighted, so it's not worth picking them up. Let's go Japan, Koga says. Heck yeah, baby. Patrick says, what's up, Eli? Hope your week is going excellent. It is, and I appreciate you for asking that. Hopefully yours is too. R6 says, eBay, my guy. Best prices per booster pack product for Crown Zenith and where to get it so far. Oh, goodness gracious, Transparent. I would not be the best to say that right now, because it's constantly shifting in and out. I know that I can tell you that in our Discord channel under the deals page, we've had a lot of listings go in and out for anywhere ranging from $35 to $45 per ETB, but it constantly goes in and out, so it's hard for me to say which one is currently active. So I would definitely join that and then just stay posted for any of the links that are dropped down there, because there's a ton of opportunity for good deals. You just got to be quick on it. Transparent best CZ price is the mini tins. There you go. There you go. Yeah, and that's the thing that's also hard to talk about too, is obviously when you're saying what's the best product, that's another thing too to take into consideration, is what site is selling it for the best product. Because if you're just wanting me to say flat rate MSRP, then obviously yes, that is the best. But to be fair, it really ultimately is going to come down to where the best deals are, because you could sit here and say, let's say you're getting each mini tin for, $4 a pack. And you're saying right now that with market, you're getting the packs for the ETB for $5 a pack, right? However, if the ETBs were to drop to $40 and it's the same price equivalently, then obviously you'd prefer to buy the ETBs because they're also going to come with the promos and you could sell the promos off for more value. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go. It's the mini tins, and then obviously staying up to date as far as which sites, regardless, offer the best value. Do you think the Lance's Charizard V-Box is still a great investment? Amazing investment. I think Lance's Charizard and Sylveon boxes are awesome, and it's crazy to me that they're still available on Walmart. There were paper blisters in some stores. Pop something, forgot for the name. Dang, that's crazy. Well, shout out to you on finding those, Kevin. That's huge. Picked up 2 CZ ETBs for $84. You mean 84, including shipping, tax, Cyber Monday. Heck yeah, bro. $44, we'll take that. And that includes shipping and tax. Shout out to Jason, that's a great pickup. Yeah, Kevin out here just robbing. That's crazy, Kevin. Think the price for all 3 promos is $50 more or less. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm new to being a collector. Should I buy singles or buy enough of a set to crack and some to save? So are you trying? Okay, so if we're talking about from a collector's perspective, right? Because here's the deal. I look at everything through the lens the same way. I think that a lot of collectors, you hear a lot of collectors crap on investors, and what I don't understand is the difference between a collector and investor is the collectors are opening their product when the investors aren't. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily you can't have a sealed product collection when it comes to you yourself as a collector, because obviously you can, but let's be honest here, collectors are opening a lot of packs. Investors are not. So I would say that you have to look at it in a very similar lens in terms of the direction that you would go. So with your question, of course, saying, should I buy singles or buy enough of a set to crack and some to save? The honest to God best answer would be you should buy singles because it's the most affordable for you to do. Of course, it might not be as fun because it's always more fun to open as a collector, but the value that you're going to be getting out of the packs is going to be atrocious compared to the value you're going to be getting out of just buying them raw. And of course, not to mention on top of that, if you're just there to want to open up packs because it's fun, you can always go master set it. And then with the money that you saved, rather than going and buying the packs, you could just spend that leftover money to just open some packs for fun. And then if you want to keep extras or sell them for your collection, you can. Or if you want to even have more fun with that, you see what the total calculation is for you to buy the set, and then calculate how much it would have cost for you to, of course, spend on attempting to open the set, and then you just allocate a small amount of that for you to open just for fun, and then you just fill in the rest at the end of whatever it is, in terms of the set that you're going to be opening. But it's never ever better in terms of trying to master set for newer, ultra modern when it comes to opening versus buying. It's always buying because these sets are massive, bro. Next, Best Buy and hold for a year flip to special delivery Charizard. Next Best Buy and hold for a year to flip for special delivery Charizard. Let me read that one more time. Next Best Buy and hold for a year to flip to special delivery Charizard. What do you mean to flip to a special delivery Charizard? I'm a little confused, I guess, by what you mean by that. Okay, so I fall somewhere in between the two, LOL. So buy singles and then hold some to invest in. Oh, well, if you're trying to be somewhere in the middle between investing and collecting, then personally speaking, I say if you're trying to master set for fun, you buy the cards as a part of the master set, and then whatever leftover money that you want to spend, you buy sealed product to hold. If that way you can collect the cards and you can have fun with that. Sure, it's not going to be as fun because you're not opening it, but you're still doing that. And then you also can keep the sealed because I think that'll perform better long term. And then you can also use that as an investment / collection. But I think more or less for me personally, when I have my full binders full of cards, sure, if they, increase value over time, I'm excited, but I am not going into it expecting that to happen. I'm more or less doing that for my sealed product. That's more or less what I look at as a long-term investment / collection, more than singles. Just understand that cost basis is both your friend and enemy when investing. Very true, very true. Also, your average player, you never reached out to me yesterday, my guy. You had a ton of amazing ideas, and I wanted you to message me because I have no clue what your actual Discord name is so that we could discuss some things about videos. Poke Collector also says, keep in mind time value of money when pre-ordering CZ, paying $4.25 for a case of ETBs for them to hold that money months before shipping is a judgment call. Great point as well, Poke Collector. One of the biggest things on this channel that we preach about is, of course, being very patient, because the amount of times that we've seen ultra premium collections, for example, be at the price of $300, $200, and people are, panic pre-ordering, and I'm telling people to hold off. And even people like that, and even if you go to my website too, like you went to my website, I was selling them for $210 when they were selling for $300. Great, that's a great deal at the time, of course, but I even recommended people that, hey, like, if you want to buy from me, then awesome, because you're supporting the channel and I'm trying to make the most money off of it. But if you're wanting to just, get the most out of it, I think the prices will drop, and I recommend not buying from me, even though that's even though that's not the best business practice. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to shill my business so that you guys can make bad financial decisions, because that's not what this channel is all about. I can't have that conflict of interest. And so same concept applies if you do see Crown Zenith prices, of course, crash. But to be fair, like Poke Collector Jay said, that is a judgment call based off the fact of your own personal beliefs. And of course, you can take others' opinion into consideration on where do we think Crown Zenith is going to be in the next couple of months, because pre-order prices are relatively low. And if there's an expectation that there could be a lot of it being printed, kind of like the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection, which is super high demand, it is entirely possible that you could see prices, of course, start to, climb or go down. So, in these type of situations where you're in a limbo effect, I would say the best kind of, situation is, hey, right now I know that you've got two options. Prices are relatively affordable for what they are, being at already MSRP or below, where the Charizard Ultra Premium Collection was not anywhere near our MSRP, right? So that's where they're different. With that, of course, being said, that means that right now it's not a bad opportunity. It's a good opportunity, and if you believe in the set long term, then it's not a bad pickup. However, if you say to yourself, well, I think that, of course, prices could go down, then you can either $1 cost average into it progressively as you get more, liquidity to be able to invest in, or two, if you want to, let's say you've got $1,000 hypothetically, you invest 500 now, and then if you see prices go down, then you invest the other 500 later if prices go down, and that way you're dollar cost averaging by not going in all the way for what you have set aside for your pool of investment money. But of course as well, that is also a risk you're taking, because hypothetically if prices go up, then that $500 is just sitting there for you not to invest in Crown Zenith. But in all honesty, I think at that point you would just take that 500 and invest it elsewhere, or hope that there's going to be a massive reprint that's going to drop prices, because you would not want to, double up on getting a higher dollar cost average. We only shoot for lower around here. Got a lot of water today, boys. Whew. I usually buy a booster box to open for fun and focus on singles. Maybe do a poker run here and there, and then pick up some packs to scratch the itch, but singles are over chasing. Yeah. No, for sure. I definitely feel that. I mean, my general strategy is this: new set release, open a booster box or two. If I want a master set, then I usually wait a couple of months, or if there's an expected reprint, I wait till, of course, near the end of the set's rotation cycle, because that's usually when it's going to be the cheapest. And then, of course, that's always a judgment call. If I think that, this is the last reprint that's going to happen, or I think, this is the cheapest it's going to be because, product prices just keep dropping. And that's usually when I buy in the singles. And then, of course, when the set initially comes out and I'm opening the booster boxes, usually I'm opening to sell packs or sell the cards, because that's where I'm gonna, be able to get that high of being able to open stuff, and then of course follow that up with selling, where I'm more than likely gonna get the greatest return initially, so that it feels like I'm getting the enjoyment of opening without having to lose money on it, because I'm trying to be as most efficient when it comes to, hey, how do I get to collect the cards while at the same time get that feeling of opening it, and that chase. And so if I can open early, sell at a high, and then buy the cards later, then that works for me. Of course, I know for some people they want to keep the card that they chased, but that obviously can be very much so more expensive if you're doing it the strategy, if you're doing it in the ordering that I'm doing it. I usually buy cases of cards, but it never pays off. But it's fun to open, though. Ain't that the truth? It's straight up so fun, so addictive, but so expensive. What's your opinion on Evolving Skies booster box 3 to 5 years from now? Here's my opinion, Roy. I can't give you an accurate prediction, because here's the deal. Evolving Skies right now is roughly at $275. Prediction is more than likely we're going to get a reprint at some point, and prices are probably going to crash down to $120, $140, $100, $90. And I know people think I'm crazy for that, but also we didn't expect the same thing to happen to Vivid Voltage. And now, of course, you might say to yourself, well, Eli, Evolving Skies is a better set than Vivid. Yes, it is, but at the time, Vivid was the best set in the Sword and Shield era. So, times change. Not to mention, too, when it comes to the overall, what we've seen with Evolving Skies so far, it was at $200 and it dropped to as low as $120 with a tiny, tiny reprint. We haven't even seen what happened if they absolutely slaughtered Evolving Skies with a massive reprint. So never say never, I will say that. We obviously saw what happened with Roaring Skies, booster boxes going to 170 and then dropping all the way to 80 back in the day. So it's like, never say never. So my honest to God, hypothetically speaking, my prediction is if we don't get a reprint by end of year, it's pushing $300, which it's already getting really close to that, right? And then if we were to say it gets a reprint, size is obviously going to matter. I think if it's a monster, massive reprint, we could see $100, $120, maybe slightly below. If it's a tiny reprint, I think you're saying to yourself, 140 to 160 is more realistic. And then if we were to hypothetically say, okay, that's it, no more reprints, then, long term 3 to 5 from there, you could say $400 or $500, but obviously then there's market precedents that we don't know about because we don't know what the economy is going to look like, right? Like we had 2 negative quarters of GDP growth, which, you know, technically is considered a recession, but then we just had a more recent positive GDP growth. But then you're asking your questions, okay, well, is that real or is that fabricated? So there's a lot of kind of limbo going on in the market. Obviously, with gases being, you know, all-time highs and inflation still having, you know, not made really any sort of pace back to 2%, even if we say it drops down to 6%, that's still historically terrible. It's like, where are you saying the market's going to be long-term? But, you know, obviously, as it stands right now, the question is, will evolving skies be market-proof, you know? And if hypothetically we were to get into a devastating like recession, so it becomes really tough to make those predictions. So you never know. I mean, if everything goes great, you could say maybe $400 or $500, but if everything goes poorly, then, you know, it's entirely possible it could reach $200 at the best. So, I mean, it's all just speculation, and you have to just consistently, it's like how I like to look at things, and I always make this joke with my friends, is I'm like Doctor Strange. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm just using the time stone, and I'm just consistently looking at all the paths and possibilities of how things could play out. But also for myself, at the end of the day, ultimately, I don't have the time stone, so I don't know what the answer is, but I can look at every direction of where it could go. I just play everything out in my head. In comparison, I think special delivery is best to buy now and sell in a year. Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, obviously, you know, right now, transparent with Arceus V-Boxes no longer being on the site. Those are no longer the best item to buy. The D21 premium collection balls are the best runner-up because they do have Cosmic in them. So that, I would say, is definitely your way to go. Just buy 2 of those, and then bada boom, bada bing, you're chilling. Getting yourself the special delivery. If you want to just go buy the codes and then, you know, potentially flipping special delivery, I mean, it's basically free real estate at this point. So, I mean, sure, you can say that it will, of course, be better long-term to buy, but considering that you can buy the code cards for so cheap and then just flip them and just basically get free money, then it's kind of hard to pass up on that. For good sales, I'll open a case, but I know I'll hold that. That's so funny, R6. My favorite thing to buy right now, Cosmic, Eclipse, Chilling Reign, Celebi, or Jirachi pin blisters for $10.99 from Walgreens. That and those mini tins with a pack of Brilliant Stars. See, I don't know Walgreens product much, so what you're saying to me is very foreign, but I will definitely have to look into it because that sounds very interesting that you're able to get, you know, a Celebi or Jirachi pin blister that includes Cosmic in it. That's kind of crazy. I reached out, just had a full day of school today, and the stream was really late last night. Right, you don't live in the States. Forgot about that. No, you're all good, bro. What's your website? I'm new here. Well, Gabriel, if you want to support the channel, you've got multiple options. So we've got a lot of things. If you want to buy our mystery packs, of course, all the links are down in the description below as well, Gabriel, so never feel lost. If you want to buy our Pokémon USA mystery packs, where we basically just said, hey, competitors, your guys' mystery packs suck. We're going to take yours and we're going to make them better, but we don't have a brand name, so we're not going to sell them as much, but who cares? It's still giving back to the community. Check us out, PokemonUSA.com. If you want to buy singles, E4 Cards is the name of our website that we have for our singles collection. This comes straight from our local game store. So you can check out our catalog there at E4Cards.com. If you want to, of course, take advantage of some of the special tiers that we have from the Patreon, whether it be accessing wholesale product, whether it be getting access to analytical data sheets that can help you with your Pokemon investing, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can check out our, you know, Patreon at Pokemon USA. I would say those are the kind of main links if you're trying to spend money, but if you just want to be a part of the community, obviously you can always just join the Discord. For that, link is down in the description below, as we have a lot of other opportunities for people that want to buy product outside of just us, you know, because although of course I want to, you know, say, hey guys, like, I'm still a business, I'm gonna, of course, you know, let me just say that I have product to sell, because that's just a part of being a business. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let me tell you about all the other amazing deals that are not on our site, because, you know, this channel, it's 2 things. It's one, it's a channel to try and get you guys the best opportunities for Pokemon product. And if we don't offer that, then I'm going to recommend you guys our competitors. And if we do offer that, then I'm going to recommend us, because, you know, that's just in my best interest in terms of being a collector. But I'm going to be very open and honest with you guys about that, because if there are other opportunities, then I'm always going to give you guys that option to go decide that, right? Like, for example, if I'm, you know, hypothetically speaking, selling Silver Tempest booster boxes for $86, right? But someone else is selling it for $82. I'm going to let you guys know that I got them on my site, but I'm also going to let you guys know that you can go buy them cheaper. Kind of like how with the Celebrations Ultra Premium collections, or not the Celebrations, sorry, the Charizards, I said, hey guys, I'm selling them for $210, which it's a good deal, but I would wait still because I think you can buy them cheaper for elsewhere. So, you know, it's trying to find that balance between, you know, letting you guys know the purpose of the channel is to inform you guys the most in your, you know, financial making decisions, as well as getting the best opportunities to enter. And that's why for me, just giving price points for you guys to remember is better, because then you can take those price points and then you can either decide to go wait for those price points, and whenever you find that opportunity that someone has, that you can do that. Or of course, if you want to, you can buy from us. But I'm never going to only say you can only buy from us because everyone else sucks and that's the only way you're going to be able to get like a good opportunity, because that's just not real. That's not authentic. And like, you know, I want to be real with you guys because, you know, I want people to know that, you know, first priority on the channel is to make sure that you guys have the best opportunities to be able to find product at the cheapest price and be able to make smart financial decisions when it comes to investing and collecting in Pokemon cards. LOL, I have my AirPods in, thought you were ripping a bottle. I was like, nope, drinking water because my mouth was dry from talking so much. Do you think CZ is a smart to invest in? Also could reprint hurt value for investors. So like we were just talking about, Gabriel, I do think that CZ is going to be, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, an amazing long-term investment opportunity. Now, could reprints hurt it? Yes, it could. So you've got two options. I said this earlier, I guess I'll quickly say it again. You either buy in now while it's at a good price, and then if prices drop, you dollar cost average. Or two, you can be patient and you can wait and hope that prices drop. It's up to you. You can either go in now, and then if prices, you know, it's really do you want to take the full on wait and see approach, or do you want to dabble a little bit in now and then dabble a little bit in later to try and secure potentially a better price? You know, it's really up to you on what your kind of foresight is for the future of that. Yeah, exactly. It depends on worth getting in special delivery Zard to hold and flip. I think that's really difficult to say, Edgar, because like Pika's saying, it depends on a cost basis. Like right now, you know, with special delivery Zard, what are you buying it for? And what are you selling it for? I mean, when I say more or less it's like free money, I'm saying more or less, hey guys, if you want to go right now and buy the code cards and then submit the code cards once a week through the Pokemon Center website, then sell it, then it's more or less whatever the margin it was for you to spend everything, it's more or less free money or free product. So that, I mean, that's definitely something you of course can do, but you also have to take into consideration what your kind of entry cost is to be able to do that. As we try and, you know, say make it as minimal as possible by buying either the most affordable product for free shipping and the most value out of it. You're buying it 25 each, so you're not even doing the code card method, you're just buying. I mean, let's take a look and see what special delivery Charizards are even going for right now, and we can see what, you know, the hypothetical flip price would be for that. I mean, if you're saying to yourself you're buying them for 25 and you're able to flip them for 37.50, if you're not using the just buy the code card method, then yeah, the margins are there. So sorry about that, guys. I profusely apologize. Ooh, I am so sorry about that. Yeah, but as I was saying, yeah, it looks like based off a TCG player, I mean, the margins are there, but it depends how you're... Okay. So we're going to say, including shipping, $39, right? You say 14% of that is fees. Additionally, it's going to cost you about $1 to ship everything. So you should still, in theory, be walking away with like $7 profit, at least, you know? It's about a 20% margin, which is good. Oh my gosh, so much sneezing. So sorry about that, guys. I sneezed so hard I froze the camera. Well, it looks like it's running now. So, I mean, as long as there's money there, I mean, generally speaking, one of the things they talk about is get 15 to 20% in terms of margin is usually the best way to go. That's what your kind of goal is, minimum. Of course, if you're in retail, it's usually 30%, but that's kind of it. Where am I? Wow, so many people started typing while I sneezed. I'm so sorry, guys. Should we be selling our Evolving Skies booster boxes now? Here's my personal opinion, Steven. You've got two options here. One, you can sell them now and know that you just sold at $275 for a Pokemon booster box that's more than likely going to reprint. Or two, you can wait until you hear word that there's going to be an Evolving Skies reprint, whether that be from me first or whether it be from another PokeTuber first, whatever that may be, and then you sell immediately. It's never a bad thing to take profit. That's what I will say. You know, it's always a smart financial decision to never leave money on the table. Of course, if you say to yourself, well, you know, what if it goes up to 300? You know, you could totally play that game if you want. And at that point, I would say if you have multiple booster boxes, you can always sell some now and then wait for, you know, them to ride it out if prices do keep going up. So, because the expectation is more than likely they will. So, those are kind of just the ways in which you can approach it. I would say if you were to want to sell now, I also have to ask what your entry point is, because that's also going to play a factor. You know, if you're saying to yourself you bought them for $250 and $275, then of course it's not worth it. At that point, you buy at such a high point, you have to know what you're going to have to pay fees, and that's probably going to put you at a break even best case scenario, right? But if you bought it like, you know, let's say 120, 140, then, you know, obviously you've got a lot of wiggle room and you can try and maximize profits by saying, I'm just going to wait to 300. So there's so many different strategies that you have to consider based on what your entry point is. Next question. Koga says, yo, Eli, you watching the World Cup? I am not watching the World Cup, and I'll be honest, the only thing I know about the World Cup is the memes that I see on like YouTube Shorts and like TikTok and everything, and they are hilarious. They are so funny because you've got so many people that it's so funny to see too, because like with the way in which our country is right now, like we're pretty divided when it comes to like, you know, you've got a lot of people that are like, yeah, I love this country. And a lot of people are like, this country is full of a bunch of colonizers. I hate this country. And then immediately, as soon as it goes to the World Cup and you hear like Europe is talking crap about how bad we are at soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, and then immediately we start winning, it's like everyone comes together and is like, yeah, frick you, Europe. Woo, it's soccer now. It's called soccer. Like, that was the chant they were saying. Like, I was like, yo, that's so funny how everyone gets so patriotic immediately as we're like crapping all over Europe. And it's the funniest thing to me to watch. But also, I'm just a huge fan of memes. I love memes, and if you can get a good meme going, I think it's great. Like, for those of you guys that play Warzone, oh my god, proximity chat, it's so funny to me, the amount of clips I've seen of people doing proximity chat. So for me, I just appreciate the memes, man. And I think what they've done with the World Cup memes for the United States has been hilarious. It's been so funny. So that's, to answer your question, really the only thing I've been following in terms of the World Cup. But, you know, outside of that, to be honest with you, I'm not a huge sport watcher, which is kind of interesting as someone who's been an athlete my entire life. I just get really antsy watching because I always want to play. The only way I can is if I'm betting, like fantasy football, you know, like for me, I'm betting on it. So it's more fun because I'm more entertained to watch it. But otherwise, it's really hard for me to sit down without any, you know, interest in it. I should say self-interest, unless it's something like volleyball, because I'm super passionate about volleyball and I can use it as a way for, you know, rewatching film, more or less, of how I can get better because I'm watching pros and learning from what they're doing, right? But that's kind of where I am. Have you seen Giratina just shooting up this past month? I did see. Someone posted about that in the Discord where it went up to 275. Yeah, man. Doesn't really surprise me. I can't say, however, that I knew it was going to do that because I didn't. I can just say it doesn't surprise me. So obviously I made a video telling people that you have to look at it in two ways. One, with how we know of the pull rates for Lost Origin being so terrible for, being so terrible for alternate arts, that it's entirely possible that you could make the prediction that prices are just going to keep going up, especially if there's no supply. Or you can say that, maybe it's not as bad as we think, or maybe there's going to be more product and it could of course go down. And I think we now know the answers to that. Eli, are you planning to do a live break with Crown Zenith? I am going to attempt to, Jason. I know that right now, obviously, as far as it goes, there's a lot of things going on at the LGS that I am having to consider in terms of what the specialty breaks are going to be. It's, it's one thing if it's like I'm doing booster boxes, right? Because I'm able to pull up like 500 packs. It's another if it's ETBs, because ETBs only come with 10, not 36. So there's definitely a limitation to what I can pull compared to previously. So that is a huge factor. Maybe I'll do a break and I'll only sell 250 packs instead of 500 like I usually do. Obviously, I'll have to keep you guys posted on that, but I will intend to do one. That is going to be the goal, but there's no guarantee how much I can do, and I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that when I get closer to knowing the number I'm going to be getting. Not to mention, too, as well, on top of that, recently I've been in the market for acquiring more distributors. We're looking at acquiring at least another 2, 3, 4, 5, depending upon how many we get accepted to over the next month. And so that's going to open up a lot of product availability. So you could potentially see me, if everything goes right, I could potentially do 500, but we never really know, right? Not too sure at the moment. Kevin's talking to someone else. I'll move on. Everyone's talking to everyone else. Crush the interview, another meeting on Monday. Let's go. Good to see that here, man. Stoked that everything's going well. Hope you can make that good cheddar, baby. Bless you. Everyone's saying bless you because I sneezed. Oh my goodness gracious. Did Evolving Skies release take away the demand for Vivid Voltage? The booster pack prices hasn't recovered since then. The reprints. No. So here's the deal, man. A lot of people there's two things I would say. A lot of people either, one, have short-term memory, or a lot of people either, two, don't, of course, know a lot of the full effects of print runs because they're not, they don't have a distributor, or they're not watching and consistently following the distribution patterns. And to be fair, it's something that's not easy to do, right? It's only easy for me to do because I am a retailer, so I know when I get allocated more product, right? Vivid Voltage and Battle Styles are the two most printed product. Not even close. Not even close. So Vivid Voltage, the reason why it never recovered fully is because the prices of it just didn't have the chance to do so. Because they went all the way up to 240. It got a reprint, dropped all the way down to 120. Then it started climbing, went up to like 160, 170, and then got another reprint. And then on top of that, after it got its reprint, it went up to 120 for booster box prices. And then, of course, this didn't really affect booster box prices, but ETBs got a reprint. And then you just saw the entire market for the singles crash because there was just so much Vivid Voltage product readily available, right? So for Vivid Voltage, there's just so much of it out there, right? And that's why it's completely different from Evolving Skies, because Evolving Skies had its initial print waves that got put out. And then, of course, after that, you did have a tiny, tiny reprint, but it never had a massive reprint like Vivid Voltage did, right? It was Evolving Skies had, its initial waves. Vivid Voltage had its initial waves and a monster reprint, and then some, more product after that. Evolving Skies hasn't had that monster reprint yet. And so only Battle Styles and Vivid have. I don't think there's any other sets that I can think of off the top of my head that have been printed more than those two sets. So, even Darkness Ablaze got a reprint, but it had a smaller wave one than most of the other sets, along with Rebel Clash, because of supply chain issues. So that you had to take in consideration. Whereas Vivid Voltage actually had a pretty decent size initial print wave, but the demand was so high you didn't really see that come into effect until the supply started to come out, because there were so many delays because supply chain issues. Whereas Darkness Ablaze, it just so happened to be released right at the time of when supply chain issues were happening, and so they just cut it all together and said, hey, this is just all we have for Darkness. Versus Vivid, it was after COVID they started to make adjustments, or after initially the lockdowns, they started to make adjustments and say, okay, how are we going to do this? And they didn't do that with Darkness. So we're just waiting to see what happens with Evolving Skies next, which is why I keep telling people, hey man, Evolving Skies is not as protected in terms of a huge price correction if everything, gets massively reprinted, because so far nothing has ever been. And it's just the general, it's just supply side economic theory, guys. But you really making $7 after fees and shipping? Well, here's the deal, Southern Rainbow. Let's do some math here, right? If you're saying to yourself it's $37.50 plus $1.20, right? That puts us at $38.70. You say that fees are 14%. So we multiply that by 0.86 to find the difference. That's $33, and then we'll say on average it's going to cost us another $1 to ship. You're saying that your profit is $32.28. Minus that from $25, and that comes out to $7.28 in profit. Wow, I actually did all that math off the top of my head initially, and then I just did that in a calculator, and I absolutely nailed it. So shout out to me for freaking actually being able to do math for once. Yeah, holding on to them for a few years, I wouldn't sell at 37. Well, you also can look at it this way. If you're saying to yourself you're able to buy it at 25, right? I don't know what the volume is you're buying it for, but let's say consistently you can buy as many as you want. Well, if you're consistently selling them at the market price right now, then it'd be stupid for you not to keep buying, because that just increases your bankroll. Everyone wants to look and say to themselves, I'm looking at this from a long-term perspective, which is a really good thing to do, of course. But you also have to understand that when you play the waves and you play the short-term perspective and you can increase your bankroll for the long-term, that's better, right? Because hypothetically, right? Let's say he makes $7.28 every single card, and it takes him $25 to, of course, buy them. Every 4 he sells, he makes an additional card, and that just continuously rolls into itself. So if you're saying to yourself, hypothetically, right, you're buying them at 25 a piece, that's $100 for you to buy each one. If you're trying to, of course, every 4 creates a 5th. You just keep doing that, and then you continuously just use that money to keep rolling your bankroll until it no longer becomes profitable for you to do so. That's just how you have to look at it, right? Because ultimately you can sit here and you can say, yeah, let me hold long term because I can get a greater long-term return. But there's a lot of opportunities in this market right now to get really good long-term returns. And I would much rather play the short-term waves right now and be able to flip if that's something that I can do, and then accumulate that liquidity over time to then be able to use it as a long-term roll into long-term positions. But right now, if you've got that short-term opportunity, take advantage of it. That's how you have to always think about it, Think about it, you're creating short-term opportunities that will affect your overall position long-term by increasing it progressively. Thank you for all the bless yous, by the way. As soon as reliable ES reprint rumors go out, insiders will start dumping before most people know. There are a lot of people with cases of ES who will sell high, buy back. Exactly, Poke Collector J. Exactly. Any sets with alt arts are going to go way up in the future. It's entirely possible. The chants are crazy. Oh yeah, it's called soccer. Yeah, the chants are crazy, bro. Yeah, Americans, I mean, I'll tell you what, we're playing up to our stereotypes right now. It is definitely something we're playing up to right now. It's the funniest thing about the woo, let's go America #1. What happened, UK? I thought you guys were gonna crush us. Oh, 0-0. And then you see the memes on TikTok where it's it's like the U.S. record versus England, and then it says 1776 1-0, and then it's like World of 1812 tie, soccer tie, and then it's like we're undefeated against them. It's the funniest thing how it's just like we immediately go back to like, you guys had a 13 colony lead and you blew it. It's so dumb, but it's so funny to me. It's so funny. But yeah, the chants are ridiculous, bro. Oh my gosh, you gotta have fun with it at least, you know. I still think battle styles will be like the evolutions of 2026. What do you mean by that, Kevin? I'd be interested to hear. We'll shoot up in value fast. Think that how many people get right into Shining Fates and battle styles and missed Vivid like millions. I mean, it's entirely possible that battle styles could do really well long term, just based off the fact that there's such an oversupply of it. And if you look at what it was, for those of you guys that don't know, it was the first set in the Sword and Shield era to have the highest pre-order price of all time. For Sword and Shield. So like general pre-order prices for most booster boxes were roughly around $100 to $80. Battle Styles pre-order price was $150. It was so high. Even Evolving Skies pre-order prices were like $120, right? But obviously Battle Styles got printed to the ground, and everyone always crapped on Battle Styles because it was like one of those sets that didn't have a ton of amazing altards. But you have to understand, it was the first set to introduce alternate art designs. It was the first set, and it's a competitively viable set. Like, there's so much to love about Battle Styles. Of course, you know, hindsight's 2020 when you're looking at the future sets and trying to make comparisons to what it is now. But I do think it is a set that could potentially do long-term well in the future, because there are some cards that people do enjoy about it. And if you are someone that believes, of course, in alternate arts long-term in the future, everyone's going to want a little bit of it, you know? I'm not saying it's going to perform as well as Evolving Skies or Chilling Reign or any of the other sets. Like, don't get me wrong with that. But I am saying that if you're looking at opportunity cost for your entry point on it, it is really a good price point for the longest time on what it could potentially do long term, especially if you're saying the marginal spread could end up costing way less if you are getting such a better entry point. And what I mean by that is, let's say hypothetically Chilling Reign long term in the next 10 years goes to $500 and Battle Styles goes to $400, right? Well, if you're saying to yourself hypothetically that, you know, you went into Chilling Reign at $100 a box, and it goes up to $500, that's a 5x return, right? If you're saying that you went into Battle Styles and you got in at $80 a box, obviously, and it only went up to $400, then it would be the exact same equivalent in terms of your return. So it might not even make a big difference, and that's just with a $100 spread, which is roughly a 25% difference. If it becomes closer, then obviously Battle Styles becomes an even greater investment long term. So you have to look at it in that regard. Would you much rather have a really good entry point to begin with on a set that is not going to perform as well long term, but its spread is close enough to the fact of where your entry point mattered more? You know, like, those are things you have to consider, obviously. Do you think Evolving Skies sleeve boosters are a good item to invest in, or sleeve product period? I mean, I have nothing wrong against sleeve product. I don't think they're a bad item to invest in, but the value of sleeve product has started to tank purely based off the fact that the main investability aspect of the sleeve blisters before were that you couldn't weigh the packs. Nowadays, you know, kind of, most things aren't weighable. Of course, you know, certain sets like Fusion Strike, like Silver Tempest, you can weigh packs as, you know, dirty secret surprise for those of you guys that didn't know it, you can weigh packs. I've never weighted Silver Tempest. I only weighted Fusion because I wanted to test it out and see if the rumors were true. It's pretty consistent. There is some inconsistencies for it. Of course, I only weighted my own booster boxes. I would never do anything else. I just wanted to see if it was true. But yeah, that was kind of the main appeal for sleeve blisters. At this point, it's like, oh yeah, I want to collect a sleeve blister artwork, which some people do. And there's some value to that. But, you know, the premium that comes with it being sleeved is not as great as it was before. Shining Fates and Brilliance is gonna skyrocket. I definitely think that Shining Fates will do really well long term, considering the fact that obviously, you know, Scarlet and Violet's performing extremely strong, which is good for the market, right? We know that for the future of Pokemon, that's a really good indication. But highest grossing game of all time, presuming it's going to probably get passed, but at the moment it's Sword and Shield. And with that, you've got a lot of people that are buying into a Sword and Shield era. Guess what? Pokemon's strongest asset indicator in terms of knowing value over time, it's nostalgia. And if you have a lot of people that get into a certain era and that nostalgia is going to happen at some point over time, that it's entirely possible that Sword and Shield era product is going to do one of the strongest sets long term. What is Shining Fates? It's the entire Galar Dex of shiny Pokemon. So I mean, it should prove to do really well. I see what you're saying, Kevin. You're saying that you think that once it goes out... Well, to be fair, Kevin, though, Battle Styles isn't going to go out of rotation for at least another year or so, and it could get a reprint. Shining Fates is going out of rotation, but Battle Styles is the first set of the E-rotational wave. So I think that you could see that with Shining Fates potentially, but Battle Styles still has a ways to go before that happens, because it still could potentially get reprinted. It's all about the Chase Battle Styles only has the Sleeping Dragonite, right? No, the Sleeping Tyranitar. It has a Sleeping Tyranitar, and then it has an Empoleon, but that's because it's competitively viable. Also, I'm a huge Gen 4 fan, so I love it. But I mean, there's so many arguments that are made about sets that... Okay, let's take a look at Battle Styles, right? And we're going to say why ultimately the set sucks right now, but long-term could do well. Right? And I'm not saying do well as in like, oh my god, it's the best set of all time, but why it could be undervalued, right? So if we go to Battle Styles and we take a look at the cards in the set, here's my personal opinion on it, right? We know we've got the Sleepy T-Tar, and if we look at the overall market price for what it's at right now, right? In a near mint condition, prices have just continued to rise. They are just going up, up, and up most recently, right? Alternate arts are popping off. If you look at the other alternate arts, some of them are doing better than others, but you understand it, right? If you look at the cards in the set, what is there to love if you're someone that's not a huge Galar fan? Tyranitar, Empoleon, Houndoom, Octillery, kind of, but not really. And that's kind of it, right? Now, if you are a fan of Gen, 8, and you are a Galar fan, long term, the Urshifus should, of course, bring some value to the set. In terms of the alternate art designs, obviously we're looking at the rainbows and such, but it is a set that still has alternate arts that people could love long term. And that's the thing, you have to look at it as more of a long-term play than a short-term play, just because people long-term, as long as Urshifu is a character that people enjoy somewhat now and then will enjoy even more in the future, you could see that be a set like, what's the set? Like a set like, forgetting the name, but I'll pull it up. Furious Fists, which you might say I would look at as a very comparable set, right? Where, don't get me wrong, as a huge Gen 4 fan, I love Lucario, but let's be honest here, he is not an extremely strong character. And of course there is a Dragonite in it as well, but there's not a Mega Dragonite. And then of course, what else is in it? Heracross, Palpitoad. I don't think people are getting up out of bed for Heracross or Palpitoad. And so you look at it in this regard: Lucario, Dragonite, Empoleon, Tyranitar, right? I think it's a fair statement to make that they have very similar values to one another when comparing these two sets to each other. And at one point, booster boxes for this were selling for $1,600. I'm not saying that's what Battle Styles is, of course, going to do, but what I am saying is that you can easily go back and you can look at sets and compare them and see why historically they can do well over time, even if you go look and say to yourself, wow, why is this set not doing that well? Not to mention, too, you always got to take the waifu factor into account. And long term, I think waifu factor is something that is very important to consider, because right now, obviously, you might not realize it, but, in terms of the full arts in this set... where is Where is she? Where is she? Where is she? Am I tripping here? Where are my full arts? Oh, I see. It filtered by Pokemon. There we go. Phoebe. I think Phoebe could do really well long term. I think there's an argument to be made that Phoebe right now is extremely underpriced. You could agree with me, you could disagree with me on this, but this art design and her being a character that she is, I don't see how she couldn't do well. I think you could say the same thing about Cheryl as well. Waifus are there's something not to be messed with, and that could add really good long-term value to the set. So I don't know, there's just a lot of factors people need to always consider. What's turn and time on distro purchase? So here's how it works, because I assume you're asking the question for if you were to buy product from the distro access page. So it takes $2 to ship to my LGS, and then from there, however long it takes to ship to you. So just calculate, I live in Oregon, or sorry, I don't live in Oregon. The distro ships to our LGS in Oregon, and then from our LGS in Oregon, look at the region that you live in, and then it's going to take however long it takes. So if you're in California, on top of the 2 days, it's probably going to take another 2 to 3 days, right? If you live in, New York, it's probably going to take another, 3 to 5 days, right? So it's usually on average going to take anywhere between 4 days to a week for it to ship. Can we get a Sword and Shield favorite set poll? Curious. Can we get a Sword and Shield favorite set poll? Well, I mean, how would you want me to do that? Because I can only do 4 or 5, right? So unless you want me to do like tournaments, and I just say, what's your guys' favorite set, and then I have them compete up against one another. So if you guys want to start just typing in the chat what your favorite one is, and then based on what I see the most of, I can just throw them up there. But it's entirely possible. Or if you say, oh, what's your favorite between Chilling, Battle Styles, and Fusion and Vivid, or something like that. I mean, we can try and pull something up like that. How much is Rebel booster boxes and sleeves going for currently? Too much. I think Rebel's going for like $220 now. I mean, it has, to be fair, gone sideways to my knowledge, for the most part. It's currently sitting at around $228. And I mean, it's selling, dude. It sold recently 3 days ago. And then before that, it sold the day before. So people are buying it, man. People are buying it. It's dumb. It is dumb, dude. How do you calculate spread? What are you talking about, John, you goober? Oh my goodness gracious. What's the big news? Oh, Agent Crypto, the big news is that V-Star Universe officially got everything revealed for all of the cards, and the set looks more or less game-changing for how it could potentially affect the future of Pokemon, in all honesty, because the art designs that they're going to do and how it could shift the way in which we see things. Because, hey guys, guess what hasn't been revealed yet, as mentioned before? A Rainbow Rare. So I think we're heading in the right direction based on what this set is. I mean, this set's insane, and I know that some people might think I'm hyperbolic, but I do think this could be one of the best sets of all time, and I think it's going to set a precedence for future sets, kind of like with Cosmic Eclipse. I mean, that's what Cosmic was, man. When they introduced character rares and you saw that, I mean, it was game changing. It was game changing, and now it's, Sword and Shield's been huge on that bandwagon. How much are Rebel sleeves? Rebel Clash sleeves are probably like $7 if I were to guess. I mean, you can all pull this up on TCG Player if you have these questions. Oh, not $7. They're like $4.40. Wow, that's cheap. That is cheap. $7 is still 20%. Yeah, no, that's good margins. For Crown Zenith, it's going to be like Shining Fates, right? No booster bundle. Yes, exactly. There will be no booster boxes, just ETBs. It's a holiday set. Ultra Prism was stonking before they reprinted it, like $600 a box, I think, before the reprint. Yeah, there's a lot of things that were stonking before reprints. Yeah, it's definitely tough. Also, guys, if you're here, you know, and you want to support the channel and help the content, make sure to leave a like. We only got 18 likes. And we've had 248 views. I really appreciate the support. And yeah, let's leave a like, everyone. Don't forget. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay up to date. We're at TT RIP Germany. What's up, Agent Crypto? Good to see you, though. Can't wait for V-Star Universe to go down a bit. I mean, prices are already good, Kev. I'm not saying that it won't go down, and I'm not trying to say that to FOMO in, but yeah, it would be nice to, of course, always see it go down. But it's not bad right now. Moonbryon might tank to $50 a card. Kevin, that is a little drastic. There's no... I would be willing to bet my left nut that Moonbryon is never going to $50. Like, there is no way that Moonbryon will go to 50. I think you could make an argument that it could go down to 100 or maybe 150, but 50 from Moonbryon, you would have to print it into the ground so much that like everyone and their mother had a booster box of Evolving Skies for it to go down to 50. Like, the demand for that card is so high that the supply would have to be ridiculous. Will Japanese friends in Galar rise? I want to get my trainer collection before it's too late. I mean, let's be honest here, man. The Japanese market right now is incredible, and the Japanese market right now is incredibly expensive, and it's performing incredibly strong. I'm not trying to say this to make you FOMO, but I wouldn't be surprised because everything Japan just goes up and up and up. Pogo for nostalgia, big time Pika. I 100% agree. Pokemon Go set will hit nostalgia right in the 2016. Guess nobody in the chat knows about Rebel Clash. I've asked like 100 times. JJ, you don't gotta spam it, brother. I am very much going to read according to what is the ordering in which people are sending in their questions, so I will always answer your question. You just gotta wait accordingly. Even though Urshifu and Calyrex are Galar Pokemon, my biggest problem with them is that they don't really appear in the anime and are DLC from main games, so a lot of audiences didn't experience them. That's entirely... Digi, I want to say that is an entirely good point. However, I think that and I could be 100% off base on this, I think the more predicting factor would be the video games more than the anime. Because... sure, you can say that I grew up watching the anime for Gen 4, right? But I can tell you most certainly that I am not a huge Cynthia fan purely based off the anime, because fighting her in the video game is why I'm a huge fan of her, because of her level of difficulty, right? She isn't just some babe that I saw in the anime that was like, ooh, she's cute, like, and she's the champion, so cool. It was my experience I had with her in the game that really made me love her so much, because of how hard she was to beat and how I had to always save right before I battled her because of how just OP she was, right? So it's like, I feel like with a lot of those characters, although obviously it's a bummer they weren't in the anime, and that obviously will be a factor, but I think more or less that the games themselves are a better indicator. And of course, you know, how many people bought the DLCs and so on and so forth. I don't see battle styles in the store anymore. It's always Silver Tempest, Chilling Reign, Brilliant Star, Astral Radiance, and Vivid Voltage. It's because a lot of people flash sold their celebrations, so get out of here. Heracross underrated shake my head. Are you a Gardevoir fan? I do like Gardevoirs. I mean, I would say that Gardevoir and Gallade are definitely some of my favorite Pokemon, but I'm not like a huge fanboy. You have card type set to Pokemon. Oh, I'm so delayed on messages. Yeah, I see that now. I think the waifu tax, I feel there's potential since they're considered more common, so the prices I feel a bit lower. for the trainer gallery waifu cards since they're considered more common. I don't know, man. Why wouldn't it be the opposite if we're talking supply side theory, that it would be better for the main slot ones because they're less prevalent and they're more rare in terms of value? You know what I mean? I collect waifus, Unfold says, right? People slept on battle styles, open so much at $80. Same thing happened with Fusion. Pokemon is becoming more and more sexualized also. Wonder why nobody is bringing that stuff up. I mean, not really. JJ, it's always been this way. It's literally always been this way, man. Like, if you look at some of the video games and I wouldn't even say it's sexualized. I don't know, maybe I'm not watching the anime and there's some stuff they're doing that I don't realize. But if you talk about a lot of the characters, like from the very beginning, there was a Pokemon card that got banned, which was a Misty card with her Starmie, and it literally was like, she's a 12-year-old, 11-year-old girl, and it got banned because she's not wearing a top in it. Like, that was one of the first Pokemon cards that ever came out. This has been a thing forever, right? It's just, you know, you'd like some Rebel Clash but can't refine anything. Well, I mean, you can definitely go buy, there's a ton of Rebel Clash product available, especially if you're just looking on, you know, Poke Center website or TCG player. And in Sword and Shield, lots of people are going to try and grab OP sealed. It's entirely possible. Spread you across Poke. Sick, 230 for Royal Clash, Jesus. Nah, the normal full art. I hate rainbows. Yeah, I know. Full arts are definitely better regular. Invest in gold cards ASAP, right? No more rainbows. That'll be nice to see. Sonya one hits different with Sonya to me for some reason, but I normally agree. $3.99 at Shoff Rift. I didn't know all the dogs. Boomers. I didn't know that. I'm with the boomers. JJ says. That's so funny. No, you're all good, bro. Now you know. Man, I always miss the majority of streams. Well, you're here now, brother, and we still got at least another half an hour of the stream to go. So don't worry. You got your time, baby. You're here. Eli, what's the best pack price for Crown Zenith? Sorry if it was already asked earlier. Yeah, it's the mini tins. Mini tins are the best pack price. And then, of course, with that as well, you obviously have to take into consideration just if prices for other product become more affordable, then you obviously do the math and say, you know, yeah, you just have to do the math. But as it currently stands, it's mini tins. But nice to see you, Andrew. Probably created by California. It's obviously it being if they went down to 50, people would still buy it out and demand would go back up. Yeah, exactly, Pokefang. Like, it's hard to say that'll even go down to that price. If it goes down to 0, the world is about to end, right? Yeah, there's no way they're gonna burn it that much though, Kevin. It'd be nice. If we don't see any more ES reprints, Moonbryon goes below 300. Yeah, if hypothetically, if we did see a reprint, or if we didn't see another reprint, it's going to be hard to make an argument to see its value go down. What do you think V-Star will go up in price before they reprint in the ground like Crown Zenith? I mean, you have to understand, Teddy, that the Pokemon Company Japan does things a lot differently than the Pokemon Company US. They don't tend to print things to the ground. Sure, with the specialty sets, they will sometimes come out with reprinted product or high demand things like EV Heroes, but it's not too common. But, I mean, you're definitely more than likely just going to see prices raise as the demand for this goes high. Aerodar and Gardena have them both in Japanese, right? Hey, any of you guys know where the best price to get V-Star Universe product is? I'm honestly considering buying some to open just for fun. Like, this stuff looks so cool. I don't buy Japanese product. I never have. You know, but this is where my mind is like, yo, I might actually consider buying some because this looks amazing. Content creators make people go crazy for Pokemon. I just go and shop. Sorry, bro, not used to this type of chat. No, you're all good, brother. Don't worry about it, man. I ain't gonna be a hard butt about it. I pulled both of the gardenias and the Irida from less than 20 packs each. Shout out to you on that one. Lots of the original Japanese openings, the lyrics is literally Grimer, Muck, look up the skirt, hence why the car was drawn that way. Yeah, man. Pikachu runs up the skirt. Yeah, no, of course, JJ. My whole thing, man, is I want to get to everyone's questions. And that's kind of what the Tuesdays and Thursdays days are, right? Like, everyone always has so many questions about the market and what's going on, and I just feel as if it's fun to have these conversations with you guys and be able to answer any and all of your questions that you all have about it. I know that there's other YouTubers that do things like this, but they don't answer people's questions, and I don't agree with that. Obviously, you know, there's a certain level of priority if someone were to hypothetically, like, super chat me. Like, you know, I'm obviously going to take that into consideration, but for the most part, it's like, I'm here to answer everyone's questions, and until I get really big, where it's hard for me to go through everyone's, I don't foresee it being something where I can't go through everyone's questions, you know? Japanese culture is super interesting and confusing in other countries. That is 100% accurate. I mean, it's somewhat understanding. A country that's so prevalently known in its desire for prestige and work ethic and seeing sexuality as a suppression, and how the cultural rebellion of that is manifested through anime and other cultural arts, we'll say, or art forms. I mean, it makes sense. There's a reason why, you know, you obviously hear about like some countries and, you know, some states you know, legalizing prostitution, but then you look at Japan, it's not even like prostitution. It's, hey, how can I rent someone out to cuddle with at night, or, you know, rent a girlfriend that can just hold my hand. Like, it's kind of sad when you think about it. Also, from what I have been told and a lot of what I have read in documentaries and seen people that live there, Japan's extremely racist too. Yeah, they're very much, oh, you're not Japanese? Yeah, freak yourself. They do seem to like Americans from what I've heard. So that's a benefit. But there's this guy I followed for the longest time who's from the UK, and he would talk about his experience living in Japan and how it was really tough for him to make friends because not being Japanese, he was shunned a lot of the time, and he was able to find his quote-unquote outcast group of guys that he made friends with. But yeah, it's very prevalent within the culture. If we're being honest, I think American culture is more weird to the rest of the world. Yeah, I would definitely say that. Here's what I think, Digi. I think that American culture is definitely the weirdest to the rest of the world. But I think that really comes down to the fact of the matter that although we do have a subsequent American culture in and of itself, like that's very undeniable, like we know what that is, our country undoubtedly, I mean, there's a reason why it's called the melting pot of the world. There's a lot of cultures within our own culture, and it's like just subcultures that continuously develop. And so for that reason, there's just so much uniqueness to it, because when you look at the 50 states, right, it's like each and every state is its own little country, and its culture is completely different, right? And, you know, that's not to say that's not like it for other countries. Like, obviously, there's multiple provinces within Canada, but it's so subsequently unique to the U.S. There could be certain, like, stereotypes about United States citizens that only is specific to certain pockets of the country, right? Like, obviously, you know, the stereotypes, let's say, obese Americans, right? Well, Oregon, the part of the town where I lived in, it was like I never saw an obese person, right? It was crazy. Everyone super fit, always in good shape. But that's because the town I was in, that was just the culture. I went over and visited Florida. It was like more than half the people I saw in Florida, no offense, but I saw a lot of obese people in Florida, right? And so there's like a cultural difference with that. Same thing goes with, you know, the stereotype of, you know, American and guns and that kind of thing. It depends on what state, because obviously some states are more prevalent when it comes to the Second Amendment versus others. And obviously I'm not trying to get political here. I don't think what I'm saying is inherently political. It's just to say that culture is so unique here because it's so different depending upon which state you live in. And of course as well, weather environment also plays many factors too. Midwest, obviously having to deal with, typically if you're talking like, Minnesota, Kansas City, Wisconsin, so many different factors when it comes to weather, and how there's such a cultural difference when it comes to, hunting, snowshoeing, tobogganing, like so many different things, right, that you wouldn't see in other parts of the country, like Florida and so on and so forth. So it's very interesting to see. So, but I mean, each country and they have their own thing, man. And I think it's cool to be able to experience all of that, Well, I haven't seen Tyrone since. Yo, you bring up a valid point, bro. Where the heck is Tyrone, man? Tyrone is out here hiding from us. This man wanted to hype up so much of Steam Siege. We all get in on Steam Siege, and this man just backs out. What a goober. What a goober, man. Just got 2 boxes I bought at $99 on eBay, but I don't know if that's good. It's not good. Yeah, that's definitely not it. I want a special role when your channel hits 2K viewers. TT, you want a special role? I can give you guys special roles. I don't know how I do that for YouTube, but I mean, if it gave you guys like free priority so you guys could be able, like, hypothetically speaking, you know how Twitch is like a subscriber chat? I could do something for that with you guys where I could just give it to you guys for free, and then new people, I don't know how I'd be able to do that for free, but I could definitely look into it. V-Star Universe around $55, give or take $10 is decent. D. Smith, we're very much a melting pot. 1. 2, the older Japanese population is pretty racist, but the newer generation is cool. At least when I went, the big cities you want to visit are cool either way. I would love to visit Japan. I've always admired the good parts of the Japanese culture. I've always thought it's really cool. And it's always really fascinating to learn. My brother, actually, he works as a salesman right now at a really nice company. And he actually just got accepted into an internship to go to a very prestigious marketing internship in Japan. And he's going to go living there for a while. So first off, shout out to my brother. Love you, bro. And yeah, that's super exciting. I'm really jealous of him for that one. But yeah, it's really cool. That he's going to have that opportunity, and I'm jealous. I would love to go visit Japan. I think it'd be so cool. Do you think the first 3 sets of the new era will be good, like Sun and Moon, Base Set, Sword Shield? Let me put it to you this way, TT. Historically speaking, if you look at every single new set, every single new era, they're always terrible out the gate. And that just purely comes down to the fact that they predominantly are pushing out the competitive cards in the first couple sets. So here's the deal, man. This might sound weird to say, but from a bulk perspective or from a flipping perspective, it's entirely possible that Scarlet and Violet base set in the following set could be incredible, because Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base set, the cards in those sets were money, man. Scoop Up Net at its peak was like $5 or $6 a card, right? Rebel Clash, you had a lot of other cards as well in it that were super expensive. Drizzle, Sword and Shield base set, yeah, like so many good cards. Guardians Rising, Sun and Moon base set, very similar. And then same kind of concept with XY base set and the Kalos starters. Now, I guess you could say Flashfire, if you want to throw that in there, but if we just pass over that and we say Emerging Powers and Black and White base set, ugh, disgusting. Diamond and Pearl base set, Mysterious Treasures base set, no thank you. Like, you can just keep going on with that. Like, it's not, that's just how it is, First 2 sets are usually just for, hey, let's get some competitive cards in these first 2 sets, change the meta up, and then after that, it tends to get slightly better from there. Will Full Force Japanese Rises, the price does not match like the other cards? I don't know. That's a good question. There is an argument to be made on its evaluation being improper. I was wondering that too. Just using VMAX Climax as a baseline. Hey, nice. Got the Lily from 1 pack. Shout out to you. Yeah, when I lived in Pennsylvania, I didn't really see any gun stories, but I'm from South Carolina, and here there's gun stores, yeah, all over the place. Yeah, it's funny to see, man. I've lived in 3 states now, so I've lived in California, Oregon, and Arizona. Cultures are so different for each one, so different, man. It is so funny to see. I would say definitely my favorite culture, I would say, is probably Oregon, but to be fair, that's because of where I lived in Oregon. There's a lot of like how do I want to say this? If you're in California, and this is from my personal experience, if you're walking down a road and you make eye contact with someone, you look at the ground, right? If you make eye contact with someone where I was from in Oregon, it's hi, how are you doing? Good, how are you? It was a lot more open, I would say, in terms of friendliness. Now in Arizona, where I live right now, I haven't been able to experience it a ton, but it's somewhere in the middle where it's kind of like they give you a little bit of a hi, but like very quick just to like acknowledge you're there, but not really like full on confrontation. But also, like I said before, I've only lived here for like 3 months, so it's hard for me to give my full opinion on that. But still, regardless, I mean, I can feel such a difference in culture already. Glad I got my Steam Siege cards last year before prices spiked. Field trip to Japan, make your brother your Japanese source. It's funny, your average player, that you say that. I talked to my business partner about today and said, hey, if my brother can get us product and get us distro access, can we hire him? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Field trip to Japan would be sick. I didn't realize that grading cards was so expensive. I'm wanting to learn how to do that, but I'm too broke. Also, I don't have a bunch of really expensive cards, so I'm not sure if it's worth it. Yeah, it's only worth it, honestly, JJ, if you're willing to grade cards that either 1 are ultra modern and truly have a shot at a 10, or 2 older products that are, going to give great value off of it hitting a 9 or a 10. It's tough. You can't just grade any V card or V star card. You have to grade the ones that are really going to make it worth it. So it's tough. It is expensive, man. Especially, too, if you don't have the membership yearly, then it's even more expensive. So, one's Battle Styles, it's $400. I can afford a trip to Japan, Steven says. Man went all in. Yeah, CGC is definitely the cheaper one if you're trying to just get some slabs for sure. But if they are vintage, I would definitely say go for PSA. I'm Californian, and as much as we say we are for helping people, we avoid people religiously. Yeah, that was the culture I felt in California big time. Yeah. California is like... California as a state, sorry to offend all you Californians, because I'm from California as well, so I feel like I can say this. California is like that girlfriend that tells you that she wants you to be more vulnerable to her because she wants to help you get through your emotional issues and all your problems. But then in reality, when you start to open up to her and you start to trust her more, then she uses that against you. That's the best way to describe California in a nutshell. Is you're like, oh yeah, I've got all these problems. Yeah, I trust you, California, that you'll fix all the... Oh God, no, you just made the problem so much worse. I don't know, maybe that's a bad analogy, but I think it's pretty spot on. They want to act like they really care, and then in reality, they don't really care. But I don't know, man. I mean, that's not to say, like, I've made a lot of really good lifelong friends from California, so it's obviously just, it's making fun. I'm just making fun. Oh my goodness. Wait. What am I missing here? Would grading all my commons and non-commons be worth it for future investing? I got so much bull commons. Okay, JJ, I'm going to tell you this now, because obviously it seems like you're really new to Pokemon investing and collecting and stuff. So I'm going to help you out here a little bit, because I wasn't reading. I was just reading between everyone. Never grade a common uncommon card. Ever. If you're going to grade a card, okay, man, I almost am about to ready to start shilling for you to just buy into my program that I have or I shouldn't call it a program, buy into my analytics chart for spreads so that you can understand, because in our charts, literally we just have it highlighted green. It's good to buy. red. It's bad to buy. We literally broke it down so it's simple for everyone to see. But here's the deal, JJ. So when it comes to knowing what to buy, or what to get graded, you only get graded the cards that are worth a ton of money. Common and common bulk, never, ever, ever grade it, right? Never do. Because you're going to take a 10-cent card, you're going to spend $15 to grade it, and then it's going to turn into a 20-cent card, and it's not worth it. Now, if you look at a Lugia, right, and you look at the raw value, it's 226. It goes to a PSA value as a 10. It goes to 868. Hypothetically speaking, as an example, you're making money off of that because it's worth it, right? But no one grades common and common cards. People are wanting rainbow cards, alternate art cards. You know, if we're going older, EX era, level X era, older era holos, like that's the only thing people care about. It's the main chase cards. And even then, some main chase cards are not worth grading based off of population and demand. So you've got to know which ones those are. Which, I mean, you know, I could write a freaking book about telling you which ones to do. And I'm really wanting to help as much as I can. But I know that what you're asking on such a like elementary level, it's going to take so much time to do so. And I don't have that much time because we're wrapping things up in the next 15 minutes. So I would love to help you more, but that's the best thing I can tell you right now is don't focus on common and common rare. Just polkadata.io first and foremost, check out that website and just go and look at some of the pricing on cards that are like the top hits, right? And see what's called price spreads. So price spreads are another thing that are really important to consider. And let's say hypothetically, right, you've got a card that is worth $100 raw, right? And you know that if it gets a 9, then it goes up to $120. Well, that's not worth it, right? Because if you're saying that your card has a chance of getting a 9 and you don't know if it's going to get a 10, then why grade it? But if you're saying to yourself, you go buy the card raw or it's worth $100 raw, and then if it hits a 9, it goes to 150, and then if it goes to 10, it could hit 300, then obviously that's worth it because not only if it hits a 9, you're going to make money. So worst case scenario, you make a little bit of money. Or best case scenario, it hits a 10 and it makes a ton. Of course, you can always factor that in too if the spread of the 9 is going to lose you value, but the spread of the 10 is so great that it's worth it because you think there's a shot at a 10. But understanding spreads when it comes to investing and flipping or selling PSA cards or grading PSA cards is really important to understand. It is what it is. I accept it or not. It's the truth. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm telling myself as well that everything is vintage. Just give it all 20 plus. I was in a Pokemon with drop decades ago. I was pushing my 40s, so it's all confusing to me. Yeah, don't worry, brother. I mean, honestly, JJ, if you just consistently come and like partake in the Q&As and you just progressively ask questions, I answer everyone's questions. So don't worry about it, man. Like you will progressively learn enough and you will get veteran enough to where you'll be able to understand, because we have a lot of people in this community. And also feel free to join the Discord, man. I don't know if you know what Discord is, but if you do, highly recommend you download it, man. Because we've got a lot of really helpful people that are willing to answer your questions within this community, and we're all about it. So I definitely would say that, because trust me, man, like obviously in this hobby we do have a lot of people that go to me that are very much like super serious about it, and I'll have questions about big time investing decisions, but we also have a lot of people that are new to this, and we're more than happy to help them as best we can, because at the end of the day, whatever we can do to help people start their journey or path, whether it be collecting or investing in Pokemon, that's what we're all about, no matter where you are in the hobby. Eli, will you offer a grading service in Germany? They charge up to 3 times the tier cost, and it's not safe to send it in off with them. I send in Rainbow's art and got Shiny's art back. My problem is with that, TT, is the shipping cost is so expensive that it would have to be worth it in your mind to ship all the cards to me, right? That is the only way I can offer that. And another thing is to take into consideration, TT, with my Patreon right now, obviously, if you haven't already seen it, But with the wholesale tier access, I also did a storage access tier, and that's for anyone that's outside the US that wants to have their stored product here in the United States. And so maybe that's something where I could also transition into making that a tier for middleman PSA service. But I'm definitely trying, man. I'm trying my hardest to find services that are the best for those people outside the US. So for any of you guys, here's a question for you. For any of you guys right now that are not in the US, what are the services that you want me to provide, right? Do you care about me having a middleman service? And do you care about me having a storage service? Do you care? Like, what do you care about? Because in my mind, I'm trying to come up with creative ways to make it more affordable for you guys to access product, whether it be from me or whether it be in the United States. My kind of whole thing was, I have connections to an individual who, if I were to ship to the United States to outside the US and Europe, I know that if I were to combine shipping, I can make it more affordable. Obviously, there's going to be fees and taxes, import taxes and fees and export taxes and fees and blah, 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 that are going to have to be calculated into it. But for the most part, on average, I can make it cheaper, right? And so in my mind, it was like, hey, I can offer that as a service to make it more affordable for people. Okay, I would love to do middleman service because I know people want a middleman service, but I also understand too that as far as it goes right now, my first step was people were like, hey, you should do a storage service so I can buy Pokemon product in the US and just have it shipped to your warehouse and stored. And there hasn't seemed to be a high demand for that. So if I want to transition into the middleman service, I could do something like that. But also at the same exact time, I would want it to encompass something very similar to this, kind of storage middleman service, quote unquote, that we would have. And how would I run that in the same way? Because I'm trying to do what I can to offer what you guys want in terms of affordable pricing and making it as cheap as possible for product to be shipped and graded from US to UK. But, I don't know what that looks like. It appears, unless, of course, I know that you guys are buying on into those Patreon tiers or things that I can do for you. Nobody knows everything about Pokemon. Is the reprint schedule different in other countries? Maybe see how markets react. Yeah, it's very different. It's never the same. Man, it's bad enough I got on Facebook, really overwhelmed by everything nowadays. I'm an average boomer, plus I'm off the grid type of guy. That's tough, man. Sorry, could you repeat the websites? Driving at the moment, just listening. Oh, if you're wanting to just go look at data information, Mudrock, it's polkadata.io to look at a lot of the information for just general pricing on product and market trends. Shout out to the Patreon. Yeah, shout out to the Patreon, indeed, Poke Department. Didn't have time to dig into it, but will. Yes, I care. I have a warehouse in Oregon, so only problem remains to send it in to you. Interesting, TT. I did not realize you got a warehouse in Oregon. Bro, you got a warehouse in Oregon? That's kind of funny. That's so random. Well, I mean, if that's a thing, man. See, and that's the thing is, let's do it right now. I will do it. I will do a poll. I will do a poll. Here, I will do a poll right now. I don't know. We'll just do a poll just to kind of see, because if it's only one or two people, then it becomes kind of difficult, It becomes kind of difficult. If you're just saying that it's like, oh, 1 or 2 people are going to use it, then it's like, well, then obviously I value my time and I would have to do it in bulk. Because here's how I would look at it, TT. Here's how I would do the program. Is I would have, realistically, right? Let's say I've got like 20 people that are sending in cards to me, right? I would take those 20 people, I would use my PSA membership that I have, and then I would formulate a small fee on top of each card that you submit. So let's say like $1 a card. And then with that, I would basically make it to where I do all the handling for the PSA submission for you guys. And then of course you have to pay any sort of upcharge fees, or you would have to pay any sort of shipping fees related to that for your cards, right? So the whole concept or benefit of it would be, 1, you get to use my discounted membership, and then 2, if you are someone that is very speculative about just grading with PSA and you want someone to handle it properly, you can. And then potentially as an additional $2 a card, or $3 or $1, however much it may be, I can potentially offer a pre-grading service. With that pre-grading service, that would be something that I can offer in terms of, hey, Eli, I sent in my cards to you. I want to make sure that the cards that I'm sending in, I have no clue if they're going to be worth sending in, as I want only a 7 or better, an 8 or better, a 9 or better. Can you grade each one of my cards and then filter out the ones that you don't think are going to get those grades? And then what I can do from there is I can then make sure that they are... make sure that I can just send them back to you, or I could just put them on a consignment deal as, hey, these aren't going to sell out at what you expected them to sell out to. Let me use my resources that I have to sell them raw to you, and then I keep like a small percentage fee for helping sell the cards to you, rather than shipping it back and you have to eat the fees by shipping out twice. Like, I've got creative ways in which we could structure this so that you feel like you're optimizing your value. Or if you're like, just send it back to me, I just want to keep them raw for my binder, then that's fine too. I can just hold on to them and then ship them out all to you at once you have your PSA cards returned to me. That way that it's going to just be combined shipping, like whatever that looks like. Like, I am all down to efficiently make your guys' life easier, but obviously that's something that you guys would want to have to do, right? That's kind of how I look at it. Nothing against you personally, rather do it myself. It could be a long process. I mean, if you could knock on PSA's door and grade someday, maybe. No, I 100% get that, Kevin. And like I said before, man, I want you guys to understand this. What I'm telling you right now, this is not something where I'm like, hey guys, I want to do this because I'm super invested in doing this kind of service. It's like, no, I am super invested in helping out the community and offering services that you guys want. If this is a service that you guys care enough about, then I will offer it. It's not something that, of course, would be in my vested interest if people don't want that in the community. Just simple demand. Like, that's kind of how it is, you know? And that's kind of how it is. Well, I mean, that's something that could be worked out as well, Mike. It could be I offer a service that is for more than just PSA, right? Let's say that I offer just a middleman service, period, right? And that purely is for me sending in submissions. Now, I am not an expert when it comes to CGC, so as long as it doesn't require a membership, then I have no problem doing that. But is the Target exclusive VMAX double Dragons box something you would buy? No, it is not. Not unless it went on like a 50% off sale. My dad always told me to cut out the middleman. So funny, Chance. Hey, I'm just here. But here's the deal. You look at it as a middleman service, but let me ask you this, Transparent. PSA membership, to my knowledge, unless they increased the price or lowered it, it's $150. Or if you want the full access tier, or if you just want the standard, it's like, $50, $60. Are you going to send in enough cards each year to where you're going to want to spend that much on a traditional membership? Because if not, then the whole concept of shipping it into me would more or less be, hey, I'm going to more than likely send in 20 cards this year, and I am not going to want to spend a ton of money on the membership. I ship it to you once for $4. presumably, let's say you're only doing 20 cards, you save a ton of money both not having the membership, and then you just pay an additional $1 each card, and that way you're getting a combined you're getting combined value off of that, you know. So that's the only real incentive for it, is you don't have to pay the grading, you don't have to pay the premium on the grading fee, because you don't have to worry about buying the membership. You get, obviously, if you're someone outside the States, it's a better service for you, because I mean, can't go to Ludkins or grade a gem, right? You know what I mean? It's something. I mean, it's something to consider if that's something that's been brought up enough, you know. Which, if I'm doing the math right now, we've got 28 votes, and we've got 39% of those people that are part of that, which means we've got about 11 people that said they'd be willing to do it. Transparent. I'm an astute businessman. What do you think this is? That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, we could always get creative with it. It really just comes down to what you guys want, because I'm only gonna offer what you guys obviously want. But one thing I will say, guys, we are starting to run short on time. So here's what I will say. I will have you guys message me about it. If this is something you're serious about, message me in the Discord and be like, yo, I'm serious about this, let me know. And if you're like, hey, you're one of the maybes, and you're like, I could potentially do this, but only if you were to have this, or only this. And if you're just speculative about it and you want to help give me ideas to make it more, you know, what realistic to what you would do, then message me about it. I am all open to ideas and what I can do to help you guys out, because that's obviously what this channel is all about. So let me know. I'm willing to listen to any and all feedback. I think the huge pluses would be to skip insurance on shipping and ship for cheaper. If I were to send direct to PSA, I'd have to pay $100 to ship to them, $250 to ship in return for 100 cards. Yeah, no, that's very true, average player. That's very true. So that, I mean, like I said before, man, that's kind of how it is. And we can write out all the pros and the cons, and maybe we set up a future voice chat and I talk with you guys about it and we can write it out or something. But I don't know, whatever that looks like. But don't forget to message me, your average player, because we still need to talk. As far as it goes, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Make sure to leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. Really helps out to the channel. Really appreciate all the love and support from you all. You know, of course, as always, you know, want to support, whether it be the Patreon, the website, Pokémon USA, and buy mystery pack product, or whether it be, you know, buy singles from us at our, you know, LGS, E4 cards and more, or just join the community Discord, of course. Links are all in the description below for that. But as far as it goes, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see